Maps to the Stars is a 2014 drama directed by David Cronenberg. The screenplay was written by novelist Bruce Wagner. A young woman named Agatha arrives in Los Angeles to see her child brother Benjie. Agatha had been lost to her family for a long time after she started a fire that was very nearly fatal. Her madness may be the result of the fact that her parents are also brother and sister. Agatha is similarly affectionate towards her own brother. Havana, an aging, self-destructive actress, hires Agatha as her assistant. Havana is hoping to play a role in a remake of a film that once starred her actress mother. The mother was also sexually abusive, another case of incest. After Benjie loses control, kills a dog, assaults a child, and fails in his sobriety, he reunites with his sister, has a mock wedding ceremony, and they both commit suicide. The visual style of this film is dominated by framed shots of individual characters. We rarely see two characters appear on camera at the same time, except when necessary. So, why was this done? Firstly, let's look at the more common use of filming dialogue scenes. This is a simple scene from Casablanca in which two characters are exchanging words. They both have about as much to say as the other, but one is positioned higher, winning the exchange. And this is classic over-the-shoulder dialogue in which we go back and forth between the two characters, camera 1 and camera 2. At a wide angle it wouldn't mean too much, but as we are pulled in so tight, we can tell this is a tense scene even without hearing Anton Chigurh threatening the shopkeeper. So what does all this single character framing do? It can have several purposes. Sometimes it's just an average beauty shot, but in Maps to the Stars, its use, in fact its purposeful overuse, is meant to give a sense of isolation for these characters. They are talking to each other, yes, but because of the way the shots are framed, the director is letting us know that they are not really communicating with each other. That they are two people inhabiting the same space, but not actually connecting. By showing this literally, it gives us this information figuratively.
Pray that those that eat, the things that are eaten, and the actual eating be universally devoid of self. Don't you love it?
I'm going to my room.
There is more though. All the characters in these framed shots are portrayed in close-ups in which they are talking to someone off camera, but just off center. In other words, in all of these framed shots, they are never looking directly into the camera. There is a power to this, a meaning. Looking directly into the camera often conveys a sense of urgency, intimacy, danger, or all three.
What am I doing? I'm quietly judging you.
Being frequently framed and frequently looking just off to the side is interview style, the manner in which people in documentaries and television interviews are framed. In doing this, Cronenberg gives us a sense of realism in his nightmare world. Switching gears completely, let's broach the uncomfortable subject of incest. It is front and center in this film, touching on the threads of all the interconnected storylines. Stafford and Christina Weiss are brother and sister. They are also married with 2 children. They claim that they were unaware of their sibling connection until after they were already a couple. Their son and daughter, Benjie and Agatha, are both absolutely horrible. While the film does not expressly say this is because of their genetics, it seems to be the implication. The use of incest in the narrative of this film is not meant to address actual sexual relationships between parents and children, or brothers and sisters. It's widely reviled already. Rather, Maps to the Stars shows us abuse and unhealthy relationships to give us insight about what it's like to grow up in Hollywood. Actor John Cusack, in an interview about the film, had this to say, quote, "The culture just eats young actors up and spits them out. It's a hard thing to survive without finding safe harbor. You can't make it up. It's a whorehouse and people go mad." Unquote. Benjie, the child star, is set to film Bad Babysitter 2, a sequel to a popular comedy film. He is crass and foul-mouthed in a way that this web series can't really show, but suffice it to say, everything that comes out of his mouth is the worst thing ever heard. In addition to this, he is a recovering drug addict, abusive to his associates, violent, and an overall terror to be around. His sister, the arsonist, is not much better. But with all this in mind, can all the blame be really laid at the feet of the children? As the film progresses, it becomes clear that the parents have failed them, teaching them poor values, not being there for them, abandoning one of them, and pushing the other one into an obviously dangerous world of being a child actor in the 21st century. Whether or not these parents were as sexually abusive as Havana's may not matter because Benjie and Agatha were clearly brought up poorly through neglect. Child stars often have troubled upbringings. The kids aren't alright. But how could they be? They were being given an incredible amount of money, attention, and access to drugs right around the time when they start traditionally acting out and rebelling. Some habits die hard, even after they pass into adulthood. Maps to the Stars shows the crimes of these children, but it also shows the causes, pointing the finger at a system and at parents that do not take care of their young. Fire is frequently referenced in the film, too much for it not to mean something. In the film within the film, Havana's mother's character says, "You don't think I set those fires, do you?" Not much else is known about the old black and white film except that. Agatha is confirmed to have burned down her house when she was young, resulting in major scarring on her face, neck, and hand. She covers it with hair and long sleeves. Havana's late mother died in a fire, a fact that surprises and alarms Agatha. And towards the end of the film, Christina, the mother of Agatha and Benjie, immolates herself. So why fire? What does this mean? What is the screenwriter trying to say? Historically, the manner in which we view fire, besides its basic use and necessity, differs from culture to culture. Gaston Bachellard's book, Psychoanalysis of Fire, states, "We have only to speak of an object to think that we are being objective. But because we choose it in the first place, the object reveals more about us than we do about it. It is inanimate and it is universal. It lives in our heart. It lives in the sky. It rises from the depths of the substance and offers itself with the warmth of love. Or it can go back down into the substance and hide there, latent and pent up, like hate and vengeance." Culturally, there are greater clues. In Christianity, fire can be symbolic of martyrdom. In Greek mythology, Prometheus stole fire from the gods of Mount Olympus, needing it to protect humanity. In astrology, those born under Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are said to have fire-dominated personalities, inhabiting positive qualities such as being brave and passionate, as well as negative qualities like that of being angry and ill-tempered. Fire is a destructive force, but it is also cleansing. The term baptism by fire suggests rebirth, but also pain. And it is in this way that fire appears to be used in Maps to the Stars. Fire destroys the childhood of Agatha, but it also washes away the stain of her neglectful mother. In the film, fire is a force of change. Fire is also symbolic of anger, but Cronenberg says that suggestions that Maps to the Stars is his angriest film should be attributed more to the screenwriter. The main characters in Maps to the Stars all fit into archetypes of who we think populates Hollywood. First is Stafford. He's a self-help guru, not unlike Deepak Chopra and Tony Robbins. He delivers a lot of easy answers, blames everyone but his clients for their own problems, talks about the peaceful Dalai Lama, but hurts his children. His actions speak louder than his words. Jerome is a limo driver and struggling actor. He fits into the mold of any aspiring actor in Hollywood, working a regular 9-to-5 job on the side until he actually makes it.
She's a Scientologist.
I was just thinking about converting, just as a career move.
Havana is the classic aging actor. The saying goes that once an actress reaches a certain age, there is always a role as a witch for her. Her choices change. For Havana, because she is still very immature in her middle age, perhaps due to losing her childhood to abuse, she does not handle it very well. She behaves like a little girl on a playground. Actress Julianne Moore had great insight into her character. Quote, "I wouldn't say she's a monster, although it's true she does behave monstrously at times. She's one of these creatures that are very common in our industry, in that all of her self-worth and affirmation is projected from outside as opposed to inside. And the longer you live that kind of lifestyle, the more empty you become, until there comes a point when you just implode." Unquote. The film also tackles the tendency to give movie star criminals lighter sentences or even dismiss the charges altogether. Benjie violently attacks a child and kills a dog, but receives very little punishment because of it. So, what are the ghosts? Why do ghosts appear in the film? Maps to the Stars is mired in magical realism. As a literary term, magical realism is a story that, on the surface, has no clear magical attributes, and everything is in a natural setting, but one aspect breaks through to something supernatural that is never explained.
Mother-daughter incest is so 80s overkill. And Sexton I am not.
So why ghosts? The characters, haunted by their pasts, are shown to be haunted in a more literal sense. In addition to this, it also shows Hollywood to be a land where nothing can be real, where nothing is down to earth. This isn't a ghost story, it's a story about how twisted the real world can be. Let's pause from direct analysis of Maps to the Stars for a moment and delve into how well it fits within its very specific subgenre, movies about movies. Writers, Hollywood or otherwise, often write what they know, so it should come as no surprise that there are a great many Hollywood pictures about the subject of Hollywood itself. The motion picture industry has been changed and twisted over the past century. Silent films became talkies, serials became television programs became internet programs, color appeared from the darkness, blockbusters were born, and, well, one may say that the golden age of Hollywood is barely recognizable compared to the Hollywood today. And yet, one of the most consistent tales told and retold to audiences across the generations is that of the business of making movies, not documentaries, comedies, and dramas. One of the most intriguing aspects of this is that many of the same details, plot points, and character archetypes from the older pictures about Hollywood are present in today's films about the same subject, notably Maps to the Stars. Sunset Boulevard is the story of Joe Gillis. He narrates his tale from beyond the grave, floating in a swimming pool. Prior to this, he was a Hollywood screenwriter who had been down on his luck selling his scripts. By chance, he happens upon an aging silent film star named Norma Desmond, who has been slowly writing her own screenplay over the past couple decades. Cecil B. DeMille turns down directing it, and when Norma learns of this, she goes mad. Desperation for a return to glory, another big break, can also be found in Maps to the Stars. Havana wants to make it big again after a faltering career. She has the opportunity to portray her own mother's role, but much like Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, she is rejected and becomes unhinged. Mulholland Drive largely takes place in a Hollywood-set fantasy land, a dream world within the land of dreams. Hollywood is the land of make-believe. Everything is phony, everything is fake, so it's the perfect setting for a kind of magical realism. In short, films about the industry tend to have one commonality, that of being a negative representation of Hollywood, or at least highly critical. With this in mind, what does this say about the mainstream Hollywood film industry and our perception of it? Well, these films have given us a skewed, mostly negative and sometimes comedic version of how a movie is made. There is usually a heartless executive who doesn't know what he's doing, like in Barton Fink and Tropic Thunder. The writers are all down on their luck or hacks, like in Sunset Boulevard, and the stars are always corrupted, like in Mulholland Drive. The fact that the same criticisms of the desire for fame found in Sunset Boulevard can also be found in modern films like Mulholland Drive suggests that the film industry has not been able to solve its inherent problems since its inception, and that it may have made little to no effort in doing so. Celebrities are still treated like gods, and then we innocently wonder how they can self-destruct under the pressure. So going back to the movie that's the focus of all this, does Maps to the Stars confirm these problems? Judging by the end of the film, yes, but it's not without a sense of hope for the future. Benjie and Agatha end the cycle of madness with their suicides. One way of interpreting this ending is that the system is rigged and the only way out is to quit. But another way is that Benjie and Agatha have decided that they are poison and that they are doing the world a service by exiting it. A Cronenberg film usually feels like a nightmare, but at the end of Maps to the Stars, we wake up from it.